It started like any other quiet afternoon in the countryside. A lone cow wandered near a marshy patch, grazing peacefully by the water's edge. But within moments, that calm was shattered. Strange croaking noises echoed louder than usual, and the tall grass around the cow rustled with unnatural force. Out of the shadows, massive frogs, each nearly the size of a dog, began leaping toward the cow. At first, it seemed absurd, frogs, but these weren't normal amphibians. They were aggressive, territorial, and fast, with sticky, muscular tongues and wide, unblinking eyes. The giant frogs latched onto the cow's legs, pulling and biting, causing it to panic and stumble into the muddy bank. The cow cried out, thrashing wildly, but the more it struggled, the more frogs closed in. These creatures, likely mutated from polluted runoff nearby, had grown far beyond their natural size. Local farmers had whispered about the swamp beasts before, but no one truly believed it until now. The cow was knee-deep in muck, its legs tangled and bitten, unable to shake the frogs off. The marsh was too remote for anyone to hear its cries. But fate had other plans. A group of wildlife officers, out on patrol after reports of strange creatures in the area, were nearby tracking drone footage of unusual movement near the wetland. When they spotted the distressed cow, surrounded by large, erratic heat signatures, they knew something was terribly wrong. The team raced through the brush in an off-road vehicle, reaching the scene in minutes. What they saw stunned them off. A dozen monstrous frogs clinging to the cow, their croaks echoing like a bizarre chorus of danger. Without hesitation, the rescue team sprang into action. One member used a long pole to pry the frogs off the cow's hind legs, while others waved noise devices and shining lights to disorient the amphibians. The frogs fought back, some leaping toward the rescuers, their limbs powerful and surprisingly fast. One even latched onto a boot, refusing to let go until a teammate smacked it off with a shovel. The team wasn't just trying to free the cow. They were in a full-on battle to push the frogs back into the marsh where they came from. Meanwhile, another officer worked to calm the panicked cow, gently tying a harness around its body as it moaned and twitched in fear. With precise coordination, the team pulled the cow out of the mud and onto solid ground, backing away from the marsh where the frogs were now retreating. Spooked by the lights and noise, bloodied and bruised, the cow stood on trembling legs, safe at last. The frogs didn't follow. They vanished into the tall grass, their croaks fading like a nightmare ending. Veterinarians were called to the scene and quickly treated the cow for minor injuries and shock. Thankfully, no bones were broken, and the cow was expected to make a full recovery. But what stood out more than the rescue itself was the bizarre nature of the attack. Giant frogs aren't supposed to exist, at least not at that size. But environmental experts suspect chemical runoff or genetic mutation may have caused abnormal growth in local species, turning normally docile creatures into territorial threats. The footage captured by the rescue team went viral almost instantly. Viewers around the world watched in disbelief as giant frogs attacked a cow in real life, not a movie. Some people laughed. Others were horrified. But for the locals, it was a wake-up call. The marsh wasn't just a peaceful patch of land anymore, it was changing. And thanks to a brave team of rescuers, one lucky cow lived to see another day. If they hadn't been nearby, the story might have ended very differently. But sometimes, the wild throws you something no one expects and you have to be ready to fight back.